Crowder Candlestick Point, and we get ready for football between the Oakland Raiders and the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers will get the ball first. That means an early look at Tim Rattay, who takes over at quarterback for the injured Jeff Garcia. As the guys talked about in the studio, 49ers hope to have Garcia back next week. He says he feels fine, but he also hasn't been hit yet. When he got a bad back, that's a bad combination. This is Arlen Bruce from deep in the end zone. Bruce will cross the 20 and go. Arlen Bruce. Great start for the 49ers as Janikowski rides him out of bounds at the 45. A 58-yard return to start it for a young receiver trying to make this team.
And I love what Arlen Bruce did there to set up that block. He knew the hole was off to the right side, and yet his initial break was left. He saw it and then cut back to the right-hand side, and that's the reason the hole is so big. If he's going to make this football team, that's exactly how he has to make it as a return man.
49ers looking for a return man on kicks and punts right now with the injury to Jimmy Williams. Rattay is hit as he gets rid of it. It's an incomplete pass. There was pressure up front. And we look at the offense for the 49ers. Tim Rattay is putting a smile on the face of Terry Bradshaw, graduate of Louisiana Tech. These are the guys up front that are in charge of protecting their backup quarterback, who's now starting, and questions around their center, Jeremy Newberry. Got a torn ligament in his left ankle. He won't practice a lot this season. They hope that it holds together. Barlow will get the start. Hurst has a sprained Achilles, so we'll see Kevin Barlow. And we see him right now trying to pick his way. Not much. A yard, that's it. And we look at the Oakland defense, which was very good a week ago in their first preseason game against the St. Louis Rams. A lot of veterans and then some young guys that are mixing in trying to make a name for themselves. And one guy is that rookie at right defensive end, Tyler Brayton. #1 pick they really like. The linebackers, Napoleon Harris, first-round pick from a year ago. And in the secondary, you name the player, he's a former first-round pick. 3rd down and 9. Rattay has plenty of time, and he finds his tight end. That's Johnson, and that's a San Francisco first down.
You know, and I think when you take a look at Rattay and what he's been able to do, he got into some games last year. He has not played extensively, but the opportunities that he has had, he has come in and he's done a good job. And when people describe this player, they talk about a guy who's a real football rat, wants to absorb as much of the information as he can. He's been able to learn quite a bit from Jeff Garcia, and this is his opportunity to shine because of the fact Garcia has not been able to play yet this preseason.
And it's his walk year. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. Little play action, and Rattay has Johnson. Completion inside the 30. Tackle made by Romanowski.
Jeff Garcia, as we learned in the open, is 33 years old.
Right here, I'm right here, man.
Glad to teach you that.
I was glad to learn that.
2nd down and 5. Blitz coming from Oakland, and the pass is out and complete. That's T.O. Terrell Owens to the 20. And just beyond, Terrence Shaw made the tackle. And those two are jawing at each other here in the opening moments of this game.
Yeah, and this is something that these coaches for the 49ers want to see. Kevin Barlow has not been able to play in a lot of one-back sets because he's not much of a blocker. Here on play action, he absorbed most of that hit.
He what?
But at least he got in front of the guy, which apparently is more than what he's been able to do. They've had to limit his exposure when he's going to be involved in pass protection.
First down, San Francisco, and that's Barlow. Nice gain on first down as he pushes his way inside the 15. They'll mark him just inside the 14. A gain of 6.
But right there is what Kevin Barlow does best, and that's run the football and come out of the backfield and catch the ball. If he could ever get to the point where he becomes at least a solid blocker, he would, without question, be the every down back. But when you have a Garrison Hurst, a guy that is so good in protection and keeping that quarterback alive, it's just tough to take him out.
They have Beasley lined up as a wingback, and that's Beasley in motion. They'll do a lot of that this season, moving the fullback around. Rattay sits in the pocket, hit as he let it go, and the pass is incomplete. Coleman with pressure. Ty Streets, the intended receiver.
Well, and you touched on it, Joe, with Fred Beasley and what he means to this offensive team. And I just feel that he can do so much, not only from the fullback position and his ability to block, but they'd like to incorporate him a little bit more with Eric Johnson. And he can run routes, and so he's going to be more utilized in this offense than what he was a year ago.
3rd down and 4. Quick throw and a drop. Streets, the intended receiver, looked like he had plenty of room with which to work and pick up a 1st down right in his arms, and he dropped it. 31-yard try coming up from Jeff Chandler, who was 8 of 12 in this department last year after he took over for Jose Cortez. Good snap, good hold. The kick is pushed. So an impressive opening drive by the San Francisco 49ers and Tim Rattay getting the ball down the field. But the question marks will still swirl around the kicking game, and Jeff Chandler, is he the guy? These are big kicks for him this preseason. Just all week, there is no score. And the Raiders get the ball for the first time in this game. And that means that Rich Gannon, last year's MVP, is right in the middle of that huddle, telling all those members of the #1 offense in the NFL last season what they're doing on their first play tonight. From their own 21, it's a toss to Wheatley running left. And he's brought down at the 24-yard line, gain of only 3. This is a very good and a very large offensive line. Mo Collins is huge. Lincoln Kennedy is at right tackle. The tight end is Doug Jolly, with Jerry Rice and Jim Brown and Jerry Porter, the receivers, and it's Wheatley in the backfield. Garner is sitting this one out, bothered by a minor left knee injury. 2nd and 7. Quick setup and throw, and nearly picked off as Porter had to play defense on Ahmed Plummer. You guys just sit there and take a break. I'll keep going. Defensively for the 49ers up front, they have question marks with their defensive line. That's really the concern this preseason, with Kershke and Anthony Adams, a guy they like, a 2nd-round pick out of Penn State, filling in for the injured Jim Flanagan. And the defensive backs, they are still without Jason Webster, who hurt his ankle in the last regular season game a year ago in St. Louis. Over the middle, pass is complete. That's Jerry Rice. And he knows how to pick his way across this field at Candlestick Park.
Joe, you touched on the type of linemen that these guys are. Do a great job of giving Rich Gannon plenty of time to throw the football. And you look at that pocket that's set up, a quarterback can then step up in the pocket. Of course, when you've got Jerry Rice on the receiving end of that, more times than not, he's going to find a spot for Rich Gannon to throw the ball to, and easy catch for a 1st down.
17-yard completion to Rice. And this is Wheatley. Not much room. Got about half a yard. That's it. Kershke was the first one there.
You know, when you talk about Jerry Rice, and still playing in preseason games in his 19th year, and what all he has accomplished. I know last year going into the season, he wanted to bulk up, put on some weight. He thought that was something that would help him going into the season. Has a great year, Pro Bowl season. This year he decided that he wanted to lean up. And I think he does it more, not considering that it's going to help him so much when he goes into the season, but I think he looks for ways to motivate himself in his training in the offseason.
Plus, it's better for his golf game. 2nd down, more time, and the pass is behind Wheatley.
I played with Jerry in Tahoe in that golf. I don't know that it is better for his golf game, but you know, again, and you talk about Jerry and the guys, what Jerry Rice has accomplished, but there's a lot of people that have made that possible, and I'm fascinated by the quarterbacks that Jerry Rice had a chance to play with over his career. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Rich Gannon, you know, 3 guys that are probably going to be in Canton in the Hall of Fame, and so he's had some good quarterbacks throwing him the football over the years.
He's going to be catching balls and cashing security checks here pretty soon.
3rd down and 9. Over the middle, that's for Jolly, the tight end, and well overthrown. Playing center field was Zach Bronson, and that pass was over everyone. Pressure on the play by Andre Carter. who led this 49er team in sacks a year ago.
Yeah, they have some questions about their pass rush on the 49ers this year. They let Chike O'Keefer go to see. They aren't quite comfortable with where their pass rush is just yet.
Let go!
Line drop punt from Leckler. And on the move, this is Cedric Wilson. Having open auditions for the punt return spot with the injury to Jimmy Williams. They still wait for him to return. No score here in San Francisco.
Yeah, Troy.
That offensive juggernaut of Dallas has threw up a donut last week. For the offensive players' sake, they better score some points tomorrow night.
Starting from their own 22. That's Barlow, and he is thrown down in the backfield by Eric Barton. And we go down to the field and check in for the first time with Pam Oliver.
Thanks, Joe. Jeff Garcia, you've been getting treatment on that back. Yesterday you saw a specialist. What is the word with that back? And some people are wondering if it's more serious than you guys are letting on.
The specialist was actually wondering what was wrong himself, because really when we went through all the little tests, I didn't have any problems, didn't feel any aches, no pains. It's just one of those things where they're just being precautious before they let me back on the field. I'm ready to go. I feel like I'm ready to go, but they just want to make sure we cover all the bases first.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this offense, because I know you're excited once that back gets healthy to get out.
Look at certain opportunities during a game to either get out of a play, get into a better play, or take advantage of throwing the ball deep. And I like that. I like the attitude that Coach Erickson has. I think it's going to be a fun offense.
It's driving you nuts being on the sideline, but we'll look forward to seeing you on the field. Thanks, Jeff. Let's go back upstairs to Joe.
All right, thanks, Pam, and thanks, Jeff. As Rattay let it go, his hit. The pass was intended for Terrell Owens, and Trace Armstrong was the one that got there to put the pressure on Rattay.
Well, and this is what happens sometimes when you're so inclined to try to spread people out. You then weaken your pass protection. Trace Armstrong, who had given some consideration to retiring this offseason, able to break through there and make a hit.
Doug Gabriel waiting for the punt coming from LaFleur. And into the wind, it's not pretty. So they have questions around their place kicker, and without a doubt, questions around Bill LaFleur. Is he going to be the guy punting this season for the 49ers? Good field position for the Raiders when we come back. In the country or right here in San Francisco, Tim Rattay is looking at some of the views of what he's been looking at out on the field, and now here's Gannon.
I'm right here now. I'm right here, right here.
Rich back under center. Start with a throw. Slinging it out to Wheatley, the intended receiver. Incomplete. Let's talk, guys, about Rich Gannon and where he sits, and looking back on the 5 interceptions in last year's Super Bowl.
You know, he called it the worst day of his career, and it probably was, but we saw a lot of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense last year, and a lot of quarterbacks had their worst day of the year, and good ones. Michael Vick and Brett Favre and Donovan McNabb. So he joins a pretty exclusive group with that thing.
Gannon changing it on the line on 2nd and 10. Gets hit from behind, and the pass incomplete. Andre Carter with more pressure for the 49ers.
But Troy, you just really have to wonder, is Andre Carter is going to come around and make a nice play, the second one he's made in this game. And again, we're seeing maybe not quite the quickest offensive line in the world in the Oakland Raiders trying to pass protect. They couldn't get it done at all, especially from the tackle position in the Super Bowl. But a guy like Rich Gannon, and as much as he's been around, does he just bounce back easily from that Super Bowl, or does it weigh on your mind?
Well, I can't imagine that he would bounce back easily.
Now he goes down rather easily. That's Winborn, and boy, did the 49ers miss Jamie Winborn last season. Played in only 3 games, and his absence, one of the big reasons why this 49er team was last in the NFL defensively on 3rd down.
Well, that and the fact that they couldn't get any kind of pass rush from their defensive front. And so I really believe that due to some of the losses that they had with their personnel, in order for them to get pressure on the quarterback this year, those are the things they're going to have to do. They're going to have to bring linebackers Jamie Winborn, Julian Peterson, but that's the way they're going to have to get pressure on these quarterbacks.
Just a gorgeous punt. However, it's in the end zone for a touchback off the foot of Shane Leckler. 64-yard punt, but it's coming out to the 20. That's where the 49ers have it with no score. Chusian, his return is doubtful. They're taking him in for X-rays. They're already without Jason Webster. They don't know when that ankle's going to bounce back. So those young corners who were tested and often beaten last year are going to get a lot of work here this evening. Rattay is in a ton of trouble and throws it in and out of the gut of Beasley as fullback.
You know, and coming into this, you know, we're talking about this new changed offensive philosophy and how they were going to open things up and get the ball down the field. So far, we have not seen them take one shot down the field. The Raiders have played them some in some man-to-man coverages and given some one-on-one situations to allow them to do that. But so far, they've been relatively conservative with what they've done throwing the ball.
Tough to get it downfield when you're looking at a bunch of black jerseys crawling all over your chest.
That doesn't help.
And the sky.
It's a pretty blue sky. Barlow out to the 29. Gain of 9.
And I think you make a great point, Joe, as far as if you're going to throw the ball down the field, that means that the quarterback has to hang on to the ball longer. And that's why you're seeing more and more teams go to this quick release West Coast offense, because they don't want their quarterback getting hit. And so it's a real balance. If you're going to sit there and try to get the ball down the field, then your quarterback invariably is going to take more shots.
So it's 3rd down and 1. Owens with 1 catch here in the first quarter. Tight formation, and they hand to Beasley, the fullback, and he falls forward for a first down. You know, as those players mix it up down in the field, I think it's unfair to say that the offense struggled under Steve Mariucci here in San Francisco. I don't think that's fair to Steve Mariucci, and I think it's not looking at the facts. But their passing game ranked 14th or worse 4 times in the 6 years he was here. They did run the ball well, and overall they had a good offense, but they didn't do it in the typical 49er way, and that rankled some feathers out here, ruffled some feathers with his 49er organization.
Well, I think it rankled feathers, and I think that regardless of how far Steve Mariucci went last year in the playoffs short of a Super Bowl, he was not going to be back.
Delay game as Rattay did not get it back from the center, Newberry, in time.
You know, but I like to rely on Terry a lot.
Bill Walsh and Terry Donahue watching as Rattay goes over the middle, and no one there. Owens was bracketed, and the one closest to it was Rod Woodson, the 17-year pro from Purdue.
And Chris, I know Rattay told you the other day that there is a tendency for him to look for TO, and that's where he wants to try to force the ball to double covered there. And Terrell Owens is a great receiver, but you'd hate to get into the mindset that you're trying to feed him the ball, yet he's such a gifted athlete that oftentimes quarterbacks find themselves doing that.
You know, it was interesting last year is they got to the point where they said, I don't care if he's double teamed or not. We have to throw it to that guy because teams were trying to take him away.
Penalty flag right at the snap as Barlow is forced out of bounds by Romanowski, and it looked like the Raiders jumped across early. Sam Williams, who they're trying to turn into a defensive end, may have been across too soon.
And that's one of the areas that Bill Callahan is really trying to stress in this training camp and in these preseason games. Last year they were one of the most heavily penalized teams.
Offside, number 54, defense, 5 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
Quite a few penalties last week in their first preseason game. Bill Callahan's not going to be happy about that.
Well, Sam Williams was a linebacker in college, so he's not used to being up there and having to listen to that quarterback cadence, so that's probably going to be a little part of his learning process too. They like his speed, they like his athleticism, so they put his hand down and let him get after the quarterback.
2nd down and 10. Barlow's a lot of work and hasn't done much. Trace Armstrong came in to wrap up for the tackle.
You know, Quaim Harris, a draft pick for the San Francisco 40 quarterbacks, hit often.
He looks slower than he does tonight. He looks a little quicker. He's moving his feet better tonight.
Third down and 9. Rattay, Perella, and a sack. He was there for a moment, and that little window closed in a hurry.
Well, and this is what he's going to have to watch. Here's Quaim Harris tackle, and there's going to be a little twist. You see Tyler Brayton go inside, John Perella come outside. The tackle cannot collapse. He's got to know that once that happens with the defensive end, there's going to be somebody coming around the outside, and that's just something that Quaim Harris is going to learn with experience.
And the hard part is you look at it and he thinks, oh boy, I got a big hit. I knocked the guy down, and he gave up a sack.
That's right.
33-yard punt his first time, and LaFleur again punting into the wind. Gets off a good one. Doug Gabriel. Penalty flag on the play as Gabriel is brought down at the 33. 45-yard punt into the wind. A good one from LaFleur, only a 2-yard return. But we will check the call. It's a hold against Oakland.
Teams in
During the
preseason.
return, holding number 38, 10 yards from the end of the run. Timeout.
Is the most exciting part of preseason because the guys fighting for the jobs are all on special teams.
There's Dan Stubblefield, who led this 49er team in sacks 3 different years. And Gannon back to work. I kind of suspected he would be back out there after the way this game has started. He has had no time. He's only had 1 completion. There's one to the tight end, Jolly. And we look at what's going on in the NFC. Bill Parcells comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Steve Mariucci leaves San Francisco for Detroit. Some might say why. Emmitt Smith goes to Arizona. Peerless Price gives Michael Vick a new weapon. The Bears open new Soldier Field with a new quarterback, Cordell Stewart. And the Eagles open a new stadium. Will Kevin McNabb lead them to the Super Bowl? Wheatley can't make the grab, out of his reach. There wasn't anything there anyway. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
It's going to be interesting to watch Emmitt this year in Arizona Cardinals uniform. That's a big offensive line out there. But you just have to wonder how much is going to be left for Emmitt and whether or not he's going to be able to pick that franchise up a little bit.
Well, and unless they can stay in some games and their defense can hold some scores down, then him running football, he's not going to be doing a lot of it. They're going to be having to throw to get back in games.
That's a toss to Wheatley. A nice gain on 2nd down.
Oh no, they look like the best defense in football the other night. They played the Cowboys.
Well, Bill Parcells' company, they're hoping it's the best defense in football because.
Now, what were you telling me today that Chad Hutchinson's not even going to get the dress for the game? Is he already in Parcells' doghouse?
I don't know if he's in the doghouse. I don't know how that works with Bill Parcells, but yeah, I guess it was announced out of Dallas today in the preseason game tomorrow that Chad Hutchinson isn't even going to play. So much for the quarterback competition.
Quincy Carter's winning that by default. 3rd down and 1. The throw behind Porter, but a beautiful catch for a 1st down at the 40.
Boy, you can talk all day about Jerry Rice and Tim Brown, 2 of the greatest ever, 2 Hall of Famers. But this Jerry Porter is a guy that's going to be awfully difficult to keep out of the lineup. He just keeps making plays like that time after time. A guy that just could never get along with John Gruden. They had no relationship at all. And then all of a sudden, when Bill Callahan came here, he just really blossomed.
Raiders trying to get something going offensively, and they hand it on a reverse to Jerry Rice, and he's got nowhere to go. He loses yards. And it's Rashad Holman who ends up the last one on him. Jamie Winborn was the first one to get there, lost it 2.
I think the idea there is that San Francisco's linebackers are so fast at pursuing. Sometimes in order to neutralize that speed, you've got to go with a little bit of misdirection. Linebackers that time do a nice job of staying home, not getting carried away, seeing the reverse, and corralling Jerry Rice. I think when you talk about this defensive group for San Francisco,
to 1 minute even.
You talk that defensive football team, and they are clearly better and more comfortable when he's on the field.
Missed 11 games last year. The Raiders just used their first time out, trying to stay with the wind. It's down at 12, and the pass is nearly picked off. Jerry Rice, the intended receiver, and Rich Gannon is all over the place.
Well, that's just the most basic of routes. When Jerry Rice goes down and does a little pivot, and you're supposed to play off of the linebacker that's covering in front of you. Rich Gannon thought he was going to go to the inside. Jerry Rice broke to the outside, and it looked pretty silly.
3rd down and 12. Gannon runs right up the middle and slides with an Oakland 1st down. He needed 12. He got 13.
Rich Gannon, 37 years old. A lot of people keep trying to ride him off, especially as far as his mobility goes. True, he probably has gotten a little slower over the years, but he still has the ability when things open up that he can scramble and hurt defenses and pick up key yards. That time San Francisco in man-to-man coverage, and when a team is in that coverage, there's nobody accounting for the quarterback.
Oakland basically in a 2-minute drill trying to stay with the wind. 16 and counting left, and that's Monty Hill running left, and we'll see if the Raiders want to spend another timeout or if they'll just forget about the wind and let the first quarter expire, and it appears they will do the latter. So the Oakland Raiders are inside field goal range for Janikowski. We are at the end of the first quarter in San Francisco. Not. We're glad you're with us. This Fox NFL preseason special will continue after these words. There's some history, AFL and NFL history standing there before the game today. Al Davis, Bill Walsh. Davis, who took over the Raiders in 1963 as head coach and general manager. That season they finished 10-4. At one point hired Bill Walsh as Tyrone Wheatley gets it down just shy of the 25, a gain of 3. And that'll bring up a 3rd down for the Raiders. You talk about a team trying to run the ball. They weren't able to run the ball in the Super Bowl. They were without their best center, Barrett Robbins, who is still their best center when healthy and slimmer. And he's lost about 35 pounds since the start of camp, trying to get his life back in order. And Bill Callahan, who used to coach him as the offensive line coach, is trying with the Oakland players to help build him back up. This Oakland team is better when he's at center. Stinchcomb is in there at center right now. And timeout called for by Gannon with the play clock expiring. Second timeout taken by the Raiders. 3rd down for Oakland when we come back. Barrett Robbins, number 63, one of the best drive blocking centers in the league. History with the substance abuse and disappearing from the team, being kicked off the team right before the Super Bowl. Bill Callahan saying he is slowly gaining the respect of his teammates back as this training camp has worn on. It's 3rd down and 6. And whistles and flags. What a beautiful catch by Rice. It doesn't count. And we'll check the marker. It appears to be against the Raiders.
You know, Jerry Rice never saw that ball. I mean, that is what has made him so remarkable over the years.
Before the ball was snapped, false start, number 72, offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Well, this Raiders team, guys, they weren't happy with the way their offensive line played against St. Louis a week ago, and they can't be happy at all with the way they're playing again today.
Well, they didn't play well in that Super Bowl game either, so it's 2 performances, and so far they've not played particularly well here today. And Bill Callahan said he's going to evaluate these starters that he's had from a year ago, and if they can't play at the level they need to, there are going to be some changes made.
3rd down and 11 now. Gannon steps up and throws it out of bounds.
Yeah, let's take that a step further with the Super Bowl. I really thought that everybody's focus was on Rich Gannon, and certainly he didn't play very well. But if I had to pick MVPs in that game, it would have been Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp. I just thought that they beat this offensive line to a pulp, especially in the first half. Barry Sims and Lincoln Kennedy, the 2 tackles in particular, had really rough days.
And I think the other thing, Chris, is there was tremendous attention paid to Adam True, who replaced Barrett Robbins at center. And as you and I both saw, he really played well in the game. The pressure that came was more on the outside with the tackles.
This try is pushed wide left into the wind. A 48-yard attempt by Janikowski, who left a 52-yarder short last week. This is a former #1 pick. He has been disappointing, and there's still no score in San Francisco.
Might have to reside the middle of the field here.
Our good friend, the Hall of Famer, Graham, would call it a taffy pull. On first down, the pass complete to the tight end Johnson. And he falls forward, a gain of 8.
One of the things that happens when we talk about Jeff Garcia not being able to play, not having played last week's preseason game either, and that just gives Tim Rattay and some of these other quarterbacks, but more importantly, him, the opportunity to get more playing time in these preseason games, and that could happen all the way through the next 2 preseason games as well. There's talk that Jeff Garcia may miss the next preseason game, hopefully get him back for the last one. But this is an opportunity for Rattay to take advantage of these plays.
2nd down and 2, and Barlow trying to pick his way for a first down, brought down just short. About a half-yard shy of a first down.
These guys are just slugging it out. Perella's a guy. Remember last year they were telling us that he uses dumbbells, 275-pound dumbbells to do curls with. I didn't know there were 275-pound dumbbells.
3rd down. And a short one. That's the fullback Beasley, and that's a first down for the 49ers. Brought down at the 49-yard line of the Raiders. How about the fact that Beasley, the starting fullback and a very valuable part of this 49er team, and Kevin Barlow, their up-and-coming star running back, don't even talk to each other. They're not even quiet about the fact they hate one another.
Mind-boggling, isn't it? They got in a fight last year right before the playoff game against the Giants, and I guess there were blows thrown, and they're very open about the fact that they don't like each other. They do, however, say they respect one another on the field.
Rattay, his arm hit as he let it go, and it's an incomplete pass. In case you're wondering if it was a lateral, Derek Gibson had pressure, and Gibson is a guy that's fighting for a starting spot.
But to continue the fighting story is what makes it even more interesting is that Beasley, the fullback, his best friend is Garrison Hurst, the other running back. So then, of course, you inevitably get into the questions of, well, does he block more for one guy instead of the other guy? But this is pro football, and there are personality conflicts in every single locker room. For the most part, you don't hear about it until there's a fist fight or something that ends up happening. But very unusual for the 3 running backs to have that kind of a relationship.
There's an extra football on the field, back inside the 30-yard line, as Kevin Barlow puts his head down, brought down just shy of the 40. A gain of 9, and somebody better get that other football off the field. And now Scott Bragg, the starting right tackle, is slow to get up. '49ers, to say the least.
Well, that's for sure. And if there were something that were going to happen to Jeremy Newberry to where he couldn't play, Eric Heitman, their left guard, who starts, he appears to be the guy who would be moved to center.
A little bootleg rollout from Rattay. Was first looking to throw it, and then he's brought down by Napoleon Harris and Tyler Brayton. No gain on the play, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Terrell Owens trying to make a move and get some separation and just unable to do it. Charles Woodson shaking him around, and Terrell Owens is not real patient when he's not getting the football. And you know, sometimes you got to take into consideration the quarterback's back there running for his life. I think Terrell expected him to be able to get him the ball, but
he needs to be quiet on this one, because I tell you what, Charles Woodson just made a phenomenal play, and they're saying that Charles Woodson right now looks better than at any point in his career. He's healthy, and he just ran right underneath Terrell Owens, made him look like he was jogging.
LaFleur hangs it up, and a fair catch called for by Doug Gabriel. Raiders will take over just outside their own 16. We'll talk about T.O. and that contract status and all that goes with it when we come back. About the way this first quarter went and into the second quarter for this Oakland offense after stumbling through a game last week against St. Louis.
Right here, baby, right here.
Only 3 of 11 for 45 yards, and now Tuiasosopo takes over with Barrett Robbins as center. And the handoff is to Madre Hill, a gain of only 2.
Yeah, no, Rich Gannon won't be happy about that performance. He couldn't have been real happy about last week's performance, and then the guy who completes 68% of his passes last year. So to come out and have that kind of outing, 3 of 11, not real positive. But now we've got Marquez Tuiasosopo in, and he's also one of those guys who doesn't get any work during practice in the regular season, and he has to capitalize on these opportunities in preseason games.
Smith came free. Tuiasosopo turns nothing into something on second down. A gain of 7. Derek Smith had a wide open lane to the quarterback, and you can see some of the maneuverability of Tuiasosopo.
Yeah, not an overly mobile guy, but yet he can move around enough. And you talk about him turning something bad into something good, and that's really what Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator, is looking for. He says every day in practice, Marquez will do something that makes a bad decision, throws an interception, and he's wanting to see him get through this preseason game tonight without making a bad play.
On 3rd down and 3, pass is complete to the tight end, former wide receiver. That's Teo Johnson. But he's brought down a yard shy of a first down. We didn't even think Johnson with a bad back was going to play in this game. And it's Jamie Winborn who comes away celebrating after that stop.
Started the comparisons already last week, didn't they? Here it was. He was supposed to be the next Jeremy Shockey, and he did look awfully good. He was a former wide receiver at Stanford. Teo Johnson, 250 pounds of wide receiver that they moved inside to tight end, and that's some nice moves. They flanked him out, did some things just like they did with Shockey.
Grew up a Raider fan in San Diego. Shane Leckler gets it away, and Aaron Lockett takes it from inside the 20. Great return out near midfield.
I told you the special teams were the best part.
Again, just grab the edge of your seat excitement on that punt return. 55-yard punt, 28-yard return. Eric Johnson made the stop.
Well, and Aaron Lockett, if he's going to make this team, this is how he's going to make it. He doesn't have much of a chance as a receiver. They got to show up on the kickoff return, and here he actually has quite a lane, and if he had a little bit more burst, a little bit more speed, he could have taken that all the way. The only guy who could have stopped him was the punter.
Ken Dorsey in a quarterback, and a handoff running right is Jamal Robertson, a gain of 4. We'll go down to the sideline and check in again with Pam Oliver.
Okay, thanks a lot, Joe. Here with Tim Brown, entering your 16th season. Boy, so many people were heartbroken for you that that Super Bowl didn't work out exactly as planned. How difficult was it to start it all over again, Tim? Get back out there, get your body ready, get your mind right.
You know, it was difficult, but I had a nice surprise waiting for me that night. I had 2 babies that night, so I was able to put it behind me and do what I need to do at home. But you know, getting back to work is what I've been doing for years, so it wasn't that difficult to go back out there and get ready for another year.
Now, a lot of people have assumed that Jerry Porter's ascent means that your production will obviously drop. What, in your mind, how do you look at that situation?
Well, you know, I've said for years, whatever it takes for us to get to the Super Bowl and win it is what I'll do. If it means me catching 50 balls and Jerry catching 50 and Jerry Rice catching a little bit more, then that's what I do. I've got enough numbers. You know, I've caught a lot of balls in this league, so I'm not worried about that. At this point, I'm trying to win a championship.
All right. Good luck for the whole season. Thanks, Tim. Let's go back upstairs to Joe.
All right, Pam, and you have to believe a guy like Tim Brown and some of these veterans, because after saying that for the last couple of years, they made good on that promise. Johnson, the tight end, is hit, wrapped up, and thrown backward. Met right at the first down marker. Appeared to be a little short. Anthony Dorsett laid the wood to him, and we'll see where they mark it.
And Ken Dorsey comes into the game for the 49ers, and a 7th-round pick out of Miami, where he won a national championship, and he has put on 30 pounds since he got drafted.
Where?
That's what I want to know. I saw him out at practice. They told me he put on 30 pounds. I could not believe it, because this guy is rail thin, but they really like him. I mean,
look at those guns right there. Nice there.
That's Collinsworth
30
material
pounds or so. 30. Get out of here. Let's have a 30-pound helmet.
That's what I was saying.
You know, it's always been interesting to me. Guy was 38-2 at the University of Miami as a starter, won a national championship, falls to the 7th round, and I think sometimes scouts over-evaluate the physical mechanics of playing that position. And
I got it.
he's won. He's won where he's been. And I think he's going to go on and win in the National Football League. Whether or not that's here with San Francisco is yet to be seen, but I think that he will be a successful quarterback.
4th and inches. Isom the full. Robertson the tailback, and great pressure up front. Falling forward for a first down is Robertson on a tremendous effort. Johnson was the first to get there, but that was all Jamal Robertson.
Johnson just met this in the backfield, and I don't think that he can believe that Robertson got away from him. Just drilled him, and what great second effort that time. That's the way you make a football team, with plays like that. That play was dead from the start, and he picked up the first down.
Bragg is limping off, left ankle sprain.
We have an ankle epidemic here in San Francisco.
Dorsey floats it. That's for Lloyd. They love him. Brandon Lloyd, a rookie 5th-round pick out of Illinois, with a penalty flag back down in the offensive backfield. Lloyd made the catch, but this is coming back on a hold.
Holding. 61. Offense. 10 yards. Still first down.
Unfortunately, it's coming back.
That eliminates a 26-yard gain. This is Robertson, who's responsible for the 49ers still having the ball, gets to midfield. A gain of only 2. Robertson's a guy who led the NFC in rushing in the preseason last year. So this is his opportunity to shine again, and he just earned some points with that effort on 4th and inches.
We've already said this, but Garrison Hurst, with that Achilles injury, will not be playing in the ball game tonight. So it's giving some of these other guys an opportunity.
A chance for Dorsey in this 49er offense. The backup's playing at 2nd and 18. Raiders come on a blitz. 49ers pick it up, and that is out to the sideline for Lloyd and incomplete.
I'll tell you what, Troy, those were 2 completely different fade routes by Dorsey. The first one, he knew he had man coverage. He knew he had a wide field to work with, so he just threw a lollipop out there, and it was a perfect throw. But you saw some of the arm strength they were talking about on that one. He really rotated over and hummed that one.
Well, he did, and that was the criticism of him coming out of college, was that he lacked arm strength. And General Manager Terry Donahue worked him out prior to the draft and said he's got as much arm strength of any of the other quarterbacks we have on our squad. Knew he could fit into this system.
Snaps that throw out to the sideline. It's Lloyd with a catch, but on 3rd down, well shy of a first down.
Yeah, and Brandon Lloyd, rookie draft pick and 4th-round pick, and he's done a great job too of making his presence felt in these past 2 preseason games. And he's been a little bit ahead of the curve because he played at Illinois under Ron Turner, and it's the exact same terminology as what they use here in San Francisco. So he's not had to come in and learn a new system, which is always so cumbersome for a young player. He's just been able to come out here and focus on playing.
54-yard try, so a tester for Chandler.
Dennis Erickson down there coaching, baby. He's working that timeout. Well, they're going to challenge this thing.
Back from the Oakland sideline. And we're going to see if they are going to challenge whether it was a catch or not, or maybe the spot of the football, as the referee, Ron Blum, will go over and find out what Callahan wants to have them look at.
Oakland is challenging the last reception. That it should have been an incompleted pass because the receiver did not have both feet down inbounds.
So we'll take a look. Oakland down to only 1 timeout remaining in this first half.
Right there, it looks like the left toe's on the line.
Those coaches just like to throw that red flag anyway, don't they? Callahan used to be a quarterback. He just wanted to get a little loose.
Tough to tell definitively as to whether The toes were on the line.
It's the right time to challenge, though, because you take away the field goal opportunity if this one is not a catch.
A pretty good presence. Brandon Lloyd trying to get the foot down. You know, of course, in college, you only have to get 1 foot down before it's considered a completion. And him not having been in the league very long, just a few weeks with these preseason games, having the awareness of knowing that you do have to get both feet down for
To play, the receiver's left foot hit the sideline. The pass is incomplete. Oakland has not charged a timeout. It'll be 4th and 18 from the Oakland 49-yard line.
What I was starting to say is one thing that fans will notice this season when they're watching at home on television is that we've got the opportunity, if we desire, to go to a commercial break. So all that the people just heard, all that talk, all the back and forth, all the hot air
from us
thrown at them by us.
Right.
You know, theoretically, they wouldn't have to hear any of
They
that.
could go to the fridge.
Go to the fridge, or they could watch their commercials.
Right.
Which is also a good idea, Chris. Is,
Well, yeah,
is to
well,
watch the commercials.
But you would always want to sort of moonwalk to the fridge so you could watch the commercials as you were getting a coverage.
Freddie Capshaw. Good preseason name, is punting now for the 49ers. And Doug Gabriel again is waiting deep. So Ron Blum saw enough to overturn that call. And Capshaw punts it over the head of Gabriel and into the end zone. So the challenge works, I guess.
You know, this is going about how you would expect most preseason games to go.
Nothing under 5 to play. Tuiasosopo gets the ball. And the 49ers fall on top and take over at the Oakland 10.
Well, and that's what I was talking about earlier with Marcus Tuiasosopo and his penchant to have a bad play. And again, that's what Mark Trestman was hoping would not happen, but got a guy coming off the edge there and knocking the ball out. But as a quarterback, you've got to be able to be aware of when you're going to get hit and protect the ball, particularly when you got the ball down there back on your end of the field.
I believe that was Julian Peterson
right.
coming around the edge there, and that is the way that they like to play him on that second level as a linebacker, because he has so much speed to come around and make plays. He's really become a star in this league.
This is Brandon Doman now at quarterback. Throws to the end zone, caught for a touchdown, Wilson.
Well, you want to talk about a pretty classy throw right there. Doman made the throw, and the receiver hadn't even come out of the first break, much less the second break, and hit him right between the 8 and the 4.
Well, and the reason for that is anytime you come out and you run that kind of wheel route where you start out in the flat and then you go up the sidelines, when you're down in there that tight, there's just not a lot of room. You have to anticipate the throw, and Doman was able to do that perfectly.
Chandler knocks through the extra point. So it was Peterson who forced the fumble. Anthony Adams who fell on top of it. And the first seconds of this game from Brandon Doman ends up in a 10-yard touchdown toss to Cedric Wilson.
Well, and you watch, and he drops back 5 steps, hitches and throws, and he lets that ball go before Wilson had even started up the sideline. Right, the ball's in the air before he turns, and that's why he was able to get it and still have time to make the reception in the end zone.
Pretty difficult move to make that catch.
Marcus Knight takes it on a hop. And is tripped in. Brought down at the 27. Knocked down by Cornelius Anthony. Next Thursday, it's a Fox NFL special, and Troy Aikman will get some game time looks at the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll all
It is, but in Pittsburgh, like a year ago, it certainly is solidified with the play of Tommy Maddox last year.
penalty flag in the offensive backfield, and then Madre Hill is clocked when he comes down without the football, and we'll check the marker. It's a hold against Oakland.
You know, the other part of that equation.
Holding number 73, offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Is the Pittsburgh Steelers of the year, but Mike McCarthy in this offense, one of the most exciting offenses in the league right now.
With Maddox at quarterback and Cordell Stewart playing in Chicago. Play action from Tuiasa Sopo, and he dumps it off to Hetherington as fullback, who spent last season with St. Louis, a gain of 4.
And I think his experience in St. Louis has really helped him coming here to Oakland, because here with the Raiders, they do ask a lot from the fullback and his ability to catch the football and the running backs, and that's kind of what he did was at St. Louis. But right now, they're wanting to see if Chris Hetherington can be a lead blocker. They've got Zach Crockett, they like him, and they want to see if Hetherington or Cecil Martin, the other one vying for the spot, can be lead blockers in this system.
Second down and 16. Tuiasa Sopo steps up and hits Whitted, who, of all the players that Al Davis talked to us about the other day at camp, Alvis Whitted, because of his speed and ability, has his attention.
And what was it that Al Davis, the way he described him to us, he said it was pure explosion on the field watching Alvis Whitted run routes, and I would have to agree with him. I couldn't think of a better way of describing him. And you know, you talk about Jerry Rice and Tim Brown, how they've maybe lost a step, but the other receivers on this team are extremely explosive.
Third down and 13. That was Whitted, who was having a tough time not exploding off the line of scrimmage. The top of the formation, who moved too soon.
Before the ball was snapped, false start, number 87, offense, 5 yards, still third down.
He did a pretty good
on the lane with a free throw attempt.
But he was in the Olympic trials in '96, so he has world-class speed.
Third down and 18. Blitz coming, and Tuiasa Sopo underthrows. Penalty flag on the play. Marcus Knight was the intended receiver, and
boy,
that's going to be a roughing the passer as Tuiasa Sopo comes up with his helmet coming off.
And a first down when it was third down and 20. You know, in general right now, the defensive linemen, I think, pretty well understand.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 50. A hit with the crown of the helmet to the chin of the quarterback. 15 yards, first down.
And most of these kinds of penalties that I see are when corners or safeties or linebackers are blitzing, because the
official, when they see the crown of the helmet come down, they're going to throw the flag if it's a hit on a quarterback.
Pump fake from Tuiasa Sopo. Lets it go for Whitted, and that's Rumph. They're going to call Rumph down at the 14. An interception for the second-year player out of Miami. So Tuiasa Sopo's come in the game. Now a penalty flag for unsportsmanlike conduct at the end. Derek Smith came down there.
Well, if
the team they played, they were trying to get isolations on Rumph and go after him.
On first down, Dorsey back in the game, and he slings it to the tight end, Jed Weaver.
That had a little Bernie Kosar in that one.
He did.
A little sidearm action. Bernie used to drive our defensive backs crazy because he looked straight down the field and throw it a 90-degree angle.
That's Rashawn Salam, the former Chicago Bear, who had all kinds of talent coming out of Colorado but couldn't hold on to the football. Fighting for a
was a journeyman until he goes to Oakland and has his best years of his career since he joined the Oakland Raiders.
2 minutes left. Weaver with a catch. Gain of 3 on the play.
I think the thing that impresses me most about Dorsey is that he hits that back foot and the ball's out. He is not holding it. He's making his reads and he's getting it out, and that more than anything is what you need in this offense.
On second down, the pass is incomplete. Lloyd overthrown. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy will break down the first half, give you a preview. A minute 40 left. 3 timeouts left for Ken Dorsey and the 49ers. Backing up as he lets it go, and overthrown is James Jordan. He had his man, but Dorsey A little too much air under it. It's time for the 49ers to punt.
Yeah, he had him twice actually. The play before.
Good snap by Jennings and a good punt. And an early fair catch called for by Gabriel as he took it down inside the 9. 49-yard punt, and the Gunners going after each other at the end of the play. 7-0 49ers. With a minute 29 left and one timeout. Tuiasosopo's turned it over twice, once on a fumble and then an interception into the hands of Rumpf. Delayed handoff, Madre Hill, who has a ton of speed, gets it out to the 16.
Arlen Bruce, the young man that had the big kickoff return, now the gunner on the outside, and well, it's payback time. Return a kickoff like that, we're going to get you back.
Over the middle, it's Teo Johnson. He's got a first down for Oakland. Gain of 6. So now the Raiders get a chance to see Tuiasosopo run the 2-minute offense. Long throw and incomplete. That was Johnson again.
Well, they got the matchup they wanted there with
hanging the thing up and putting a little air underneath. It would have been an easier play.
That's Hill, brought down in the backfield. Andrew Williams.
Played well with San Francisco, and it looks like he's going to have another good year this year with the Raiders.
One of 7 former 49ers now playing with the Raiders. Stubblefield. Time, and the pass is low, and incomplete. It skipped to Whitted, and now a penalty flag comes in at the very end of the play. And it's offensive pass interference. Fleckler's had a nice night. Lockett with a fair catch, called for at the 31. We'll see Mike Vick and the Falcons taking on the Cowboys on opening day on the 7th. This is Dolman back in the game. Overthrows Wilson in a penalty flag. Dolman down in 13. For San Francisco, regular season game, they take a knee. Here they're going to hand it off, and they give it to Robertson. Look at Jamal Robertson fight his way out to the 41-yard line. And it appears that a 12-yard gain will be
Why would you
the
not
final
take
play.
it? Well, I guess they don't want to take a timeout in a shot there.
That's it for the first half. Terrell Owens, we didn't even talk about that contract situation. They did in the studio before the game. We will in the third quarter. That's the end of the first half, 7-0. San Francisco on top. Visa halftime show is coming your way right after these words and a message from your local Fox station. Fox with that camera on a wire zooming across over this field. And the 49ers will kick it to the Oakland Raiders to start the second half. Justin Fargas is hitting deep. Draft pick out of UCLA, and Justin will wait for the kick from Chandler. 6'1", 220 is Fargas. Last week carried the ball 17 times for 72 yards against the St. Louis Rams. Now getting a chance to show what he can do returning a kick.
Well, this is going to be fantastic watching a kickoff return from this angle, because you really now begin to get a feel for where those cracks and seams open up and just how quickly they close.
Fargas from about the 10. Penalty flag flies as Justin crosses the 40, knocked down at the 41, and will check the mark. 32-yard return.
I tell you, I've really liked what I've seen out of this Justin Fargas. Kind of a straight up runner, a little bit like Robert Smith, a little, maybe like Marcus Allen, although it's obviously a stretch to compare him to those two guys, but that type of running style, and had an outstanding
personal foul, low block. on 57 of the kicking team. That's a 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Cornelius Anthony is guilty.
Kickoff team or the return team. Either way, you're not allowed to go and chop out the blocker's knees.
Tuiasa Sopo still at back, and he hands to Fargas. That right side of the field wide open. And Justin is wrapped up and brought down inside the 30. They'll mark him at the 28 after a gain of 20.
Chris, and you talk about Fargas and what he brings. He's a very young, raw player. He's out of USC, and they say when he gets in the game right now he's a little overwhelmed, which is what happens with most rookies when they come in and they're learning a new offense, and he's a little overwhelmed. So they said, hey, we're going to keep it awfully simple when he's in the game, and if we can hand him the ball and let him run just down, we think he can do some things. That was a great example of that there.
Movement from the right tackle. Chad Slaughter.
The other thing that they're wanting to see from Fargas is
Before the ball is snapped, ball start. Number 78, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Charlie Garner, of course, their second leading receiver last year with 91 receptions. He's a guy who's going to be catching a lot of balls and in that position. And Fargas, having played at USC, is not really accustomed to catching a lot of passes. I believe he caught 8 in his last season in college, and so he's shown that he can catch, but it's still an area that he's got to improve upon.
He was really just explosive last week. Had a fumble in the end zone. The only mark against him. He made some big plays.
Fargas gets another try. Big hole opens up, and Justin slips down about a yard shy of a first down. We have talked about Justin Fargas and yet to mention that his dad, Antonio Fargas, it's Huggy Bear, the 70s show, Starsky and Hutch.
Now, do you guys really remember that show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
Come on.
Really? That's good. I mean, I do too. It was one of my favorites. Huggy Bear. I'm not so sure I ever watched that one.
Come on, they're going to do it. You're going to
only
get your
5 at the time. You probably weren't allowed.
chance.
Well, Joe was 3 then.
Montre Hill running right. He is hit as he picks up a first down. Well, I was inside.
You were a mature 3.
I was inside eating stuff, watching that show. You were probably outside throwing a football against the side of a barn or something. That was my childhood. That was your childhood. They're redoing the show now into a movie. Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Starsky and Hutch.
Really?
And Snoop Doggy Dogg is going to play Huggy Bear.
Can't wait for that one.
I bet you can't. If you didn't see it the first time around. What's you're dumbfounded, Chris?
I think that's great. I love that show.
Antonio Fargas's kid who went to USC, as Troy said, not UCLA, as I said, and I apologize to all of the graduates and those who are fans of those two programs for that terrible error. Marcus Reese makes the tackle, and a loss of 2 on the play.
You know, it always comes down to, can they pick up the entire offense? Does he understand the pass protections? Can he understand the reads when he gets out on a pass pattern? And that's why it's just, you don't see many rookie running backs playing in the NFL.
Now movement by the tight end. That's 46, and that's O.J. Santiago.
You know, typically, Chris, where the running
Before the ball is snapped, false start, 46, offense, 5 yards, still second down.
where running backs seem to have the most problems when they break into the National Football League and trying to learn the NFL game is in pass protection. And, you know, like you said, with the various dogs and blitzes and who's got who, and a lot of that is done at the line of scrimmage. It's very hard for these rookie running backs to pick those things up.
Blitz coming from the 49ers, and that's Whitted. Brought down at the 16 by Weary, a gain of 8.
Now tell me the truth. How many times have you gone up to your head coach and said, if I'm in there, don't put number so-and-so in the game, because it only takes one shot in the back of the head, and that guy will never see Troy Aikman on the field again with him.
Fortunately, I had offensive coaches that were smart enough to figure those things out. It didn't take me telling them, but Yeah, it's a concern. And as a quarterback, you want to make sure, particularly on third downs, which we're in here, that you've got a guy who knows where the blitz protections are.
Sissoko trying to buy time, and the ball's knocked out of his hands. I believe Oakland and Teo Johnson fell on top of it. Teo was the man who saved the play. But that was a loss on third down. It'll bring up fourth down, and for the second time, Tuiasosopo lost the ball.
Well, I think what happens is once he starts moving here, he's got to realize that there are going to be defenders coming after you, and it's hard to slow down as you're approaching the line of scrimmage, thinking that you can buy some time. You've got to realize right there, Ross Kalaji, great hustle on his part coming in from behind to make the play.
You know, this offense is just so different, though, when Rich Gannon isn't in there. Under Gannon, they are a 5-step, get the ball out quickly, and make the play. The offensive line, they get used to that.
Out in the Bay. I've been there on a couple of different tours. You ever been there, Troy?
I have. I have, as a visitor.
Not a chance they're getting me in there.
38-yard try from Janikowski. I mean, Janikowski, who was a disappointing 7 of 12 in the 40 to 49-yard range, pushes another one wide left. And Callahan saying, we spent a first-round pick on this. Anything but consistent, and it's still 7-0 49ers third quarter. Who just left with a foot sprain. His return, as they say, is questionable. Starting from their own 28, Dolman back at quarterback. And a nice play is made by Eric Johnson as Jamal Robertson lost one on the play. So Dolman and Ken Dorsey are just switching every series. The only points in this game have been put up by Dolman on a 10-yard touchdown throw to Cedric Wilson. Play action pass, pretty good fake from Dolman. And now Robertson can't make the catch. And again, it was Johnson right there to make the tackle if he did.
Yeah, there are some pretty good battles going on this Raiders football team, and we hit on the center position a little bit, but also the safety position. Anthony Dorsett finished the year last year as the starter all the way through the playoffs, about the last 5 games. Derek Gibson's the former #1 pick, and he's the guy that the organization would love to see step up and take over that position, but Dorsett's played well so far this preseason.
Third down and 11. Trying to set up a screen. Dolman has it batted right back to him.
Now we're playing some football.
Dolman is crunched out of bounds. They're not going to throw a flag. Ron Blum, who was right there, the referee, immediately shook his head as if to say no roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness at the end of this play.
Well, Dolman's doing everything that he can, trying to get as much yardage out of this, but a little bit of an unnecessary hit there by Shabazz. And the coaches told us that Sadiq Shabazz, he wants to hit anything that moves, and I think that he wanted to just try to get a hit on Dolman before he got out of bounds, but that could have been a very costly hit.
Now it's a knuckleball punt, and Willie Quinney will let it bounce. Bill LaFleur with an ugly one off his foot. And the ball is down at the 36. That's where the Raiders will take over. They trail by 7.
The score 7-0 for San Francisco. And Terrell, I wanted to ask you first of all, the big storyline here, your contract status. Are you content, or you believe the 49ers will get your deal done?
Well, I'm hoping they get it done, but it's something I really can't worry about. I mean, I felt like we would have gotten something done before the season started, or training camp, but that's not the case, and I really can't worry about it at this point. Just put it in the Lord's hand, let him work it out, and all I got to do is just come out here and perform like I have been. didn't take last year that are up for grabs this year. So, you know, from a receiver standpoint, from the receiving group, a lot of us guys, we're looking forward to that.
Chomping at the bit. Thank you. Good game. Let's go back upstairs to Joe.
And another good run from Fargas, who picks up a first down with a gain of 12 over the right side. You know, I don't think it's as easy to say that this guy, Terrell Owens, has been one of the most productive receivers in the NFL. Automatically give him what he wants, $25 million signing bonus, whatever it is. He's about to turn 30 in December. He's had that groin problem that's bothered him. And the 49ers have the decision to make as to whether they're going to sink that kind of money into Terrell Owens and how he will respond if he gets it from the 49er organization. As Fargas, wow. Fargas down inside the 30.
I think they need to give something to Fargas.
Penalty flag at the end of the play as John Keith just got enough of the ankles of Justin Fargas to avoid a touchdown. Gain of 24. But it's a hold and it's coming back.
Yeah, but Joe, to go back to your point, it is going to be
During the run, holding number 1, offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
Ronald Curry with the hold to negate a big play. But to get back to your point again, there it is. Yep, that's good blocking by a wide receiver as far as I'm concerned. Julian Peterson, both their corners, Jason Webster and Ahmed Plummer, quarterback Tim Rattay, and buy to the other guys or keep all the other guys and then let go of Terrell Owens.
Well, I think that's a point well made. And in addition to that, you've got to make sure that they're the kind of guy that you want on your team. And with the 49ers, it's a team that they would be rebuilding or building a team around.
Rick Meyer is in at quarterback. This is Madre Hill. On that previous play, the run was good for 20 yards. It was a 10-yard penalty, so by inches after they marked off the penalty, the Raiders were good enough for a first down. Now Madre Hill picks up 3, bringing up a second down, and Fargas checks back into the game.
Well, I know Chris talked about Justin Fargas earlier and how much he liked him from what we saw of last week's preseason game. And I tell you, you give the guy the ball and let him run between the tackles, and he is hitting the holes and showing us a lot.
Meyer fires and the pass is complete. Teo Johnson down the sideline. Upended inside the 10. Gain of 31 for the celebrated rookie Teo Johnson out of Stanford.
And Teo Johnson as a tight end, we saw what Jeremy Shockey meant to the New York Giants last year, and I can tell you that there's no player on the offensive team that creates more mismatches than a tight end who's a big target that can be used as a wide receiver. And when you look at what they're able to do with him, split him out wide, the options are endless with what they can do offensively.
First and goal from the 7. Fargas is down to the 1.
I'll tell you what, we're seeing some good young talent for the Oakland Raiders, not just on the offensive side of the ball with Fargas and Teo Johnson, but on the defensive side of the ball as well. Sam Williams, Tyler Brayton. This is a team that drafted awfully well, and you add them, and they're going to be such a nice complement with some of the veteran players.
People always have their comments about Al Davis, but he has hit on a lot of these draft picks. Fargas is stopped. Still fighting. And he is brought down inside the 1, just shy of the goal line. But if you talk about Fargas, Napoleon Harris, they love Tyler Brayton. You see the defensive backs, and they have to hope that Philip Buchanan's hamstring comes around and he's ready for the start of the season.
You know, Nnamdi Asomugha, their #1 pick, is a guy that we haven't seen because he's been injured, but everybody that I talked to down there, they just love him. They say it reminds them of Albert Lewis, and that's a pretty strong comparison to a great player.
3rd down and goal. Easy for Fargas, a touchdown. And that was a drive that featured the rookie Justin Fargas, who's up over 70 yards again.
Yeah, that was real easy there. All you saw was the 49ers getting knocked backwards. Dwayne Carpenter, safety, trying to get in there. He landed on his back, and that was a nice drive right there by the Oakland Raiders. You see him coming off the ball, lineman pulling out. There goes Dwayne Carpenter, and just a nice job of execution by the offense and young players out on the field.
You can see why they like that tackle, Langston Walker. As Janikowski ties it at 7. So a lot of the young blood is in the game. Terry Bradshaw told us all to keep watching, and I'm glad I listened, and I'm glad I am. It's a 7-7 game. Impressive, along with the young group around him. And we look at Dennis Erickson. We haven't really talked much about Dennis Erickson. He looks at this opportunity as another chance to prove himself after 4 years at Oregon State. Those years with the Seattle Seahawks, a lot of turmoil. Were they going to move to LA? Stadium issues. He still had some decent seasons, but I think Dennis believes he's in the right situation here with his 49er team.
Well, I think he does, and I think if you look at what happened and what transpired, it's been well documented about Steve Mariucci moving on, but I'm not so sure that
time you let go of a coach that won a playoff game the year before, it's quite a burden to put on somebody.
This is Arlen Bruce. He already has one good kick return, still fighting, but he only gets to the 20. It is staggering to look at the numbers for
Thrive as being polar opposite, really, of Steve Mariucci. He's a guy that doesn't say a whole lot. He's edgy. He likes tough practices. He's really turned the defensive team loose in practice. There's always been a tradition here in San Francisco that you don't touch offensive players. You don't go after the ball when the receiver's going for it. And Dennis Erickson said, the heck with that. We're going to let our defense play. And I thought early on tonight, Ahmed Plummer made a break on a ball in a slant that was something that I hadn't seen a lot of out of him. You could see the physical play. They're tackling better than what we saw a season ago, so maybe it is making a bit of a difference.
Dorsey just made a good throw, but Bruce couldn't hang on, and this is Rashaan Salam. And a loss on the play. Brock Williams brought him down. A loss of 6.
And Chris, I think when you talk about what exactly is the expectation for Dennis Erickson and this football team, there's no question that the only thing that's going to matter is if they go on to win a world championship. So that was going to be the case. He held up to that, went on to win a national championship of his own. So he's accustomed to being in the pressure cooker.
Dorsey avoids some trouble, looking for help, and now floats it. Pass is incomplete. Arlen Bruce could not get to it, and while the 49ers on offense should know that Brandon Lloyd has left this game with a right groin strain, he is out for the rest of the game. So yet another injury for this 49er team to report.
You know, just and I just assumed pro players knew how to do everything. So I didn't coach like I did in college. But after a little while, you began to realize that, hey, these are just football players. You have to stay after them with the fundamentals. You have to coach them every day. And I think he's bringing that coach here to San Francisco.
Willie Quinney on the line drive punt from LaFleur. Penalty flag on the play. Another one comes flying in as Quinney gets into San Francisco territory. 45-yard line drive punt, 11-yard return, but 2 separate flags came flying on that punt return.
2 fouls, illegal block in the back, above the waist, number 98 of the receivers. That penalty's declined. Illegal block in the back, above the waist, number 68. That penalty's accepted, 10 yards. Timeout.
C is on Fox, returning September 7th. That day, the big early game will be St. Louis at the Giants. We will be watching the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Fargas took the ball, and Marcus Reese grabbed him and threw him down, a gain of only 1.
Yeah, it's the first time anybody's been able to stop Fargas, and they come in with that bunch set and try to get out on the corner, and Marcus Reese showed a little bit of speed himself, being able to get out there and make the play.
112 yards this quarter, and Fargas has a lot of the 112. Second down, 9. Fargas again. Got back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. Ross Kalaji in the stop. How about the St. Louis Rams? Kurt Warner is back at quarterback.
They felt like the Rams had to get away from what they did best in their offense last year because they simply couldn't protect.
3rd and 9, and Meyer throws. The pass is complete. Doug Gabriel from Rick Meyer, and now a penalty flag is on the far side of the field.
Well, there's been a lot of penalties tonight.
Looks like they're calling a hold. It's a defensive hold. It'll be declined.
Hands to the face. Number 30, defense. Penalties decline to first down.
They get Antoine Simmons.
Rick Meyer threw that ball pretty well. You know, it's hard to believe Rick Meyer is in what now, his 11th year?
Yep.
He's bounced around the number 2 draft pick overall and never really has established himself as a starting quarterback anywhere, but had a nice long career.
Yeah, and I mean, in fact, he hadn't thrown a pass in the last 2 years.
Kind of in the category of a big tease coming out of college. Drafted number 2 overall to Bledsoe back in '93. A lot of people made the easy comparison to Montana coming out of Notre Dame. Just not happened in the NFL. He has not been able to take that next step. And he's bounced around with Seattle, Chicago, Green Bay, the Jets, the 49ers, and now Oakland.
I tell you, I called a lot of their games that year at Notre Dame, and that was maybe the best college football team that never won a national championship. They got beat by Boston College at home that year after knocking off Florida State the week before, and it was just a real shocker.
Meyer fires, and the pass is caught. Beautiful grab. Again, it's Doug Gabriel. Gabriel's been trying to make noise returning kicks and punts, and now he makes a beautiful catch for a first down over Antoine Simmons.
Yeah, he really does, because this is a ball that could very well have been thrown up down the field and then let Gabriel go and get it. Instead, Meyer elects to throw a line drive, and Gabriel does a great job of just coming back and going after the football and making a play. And you know, when you talk about Rick Meyer and the fact that he hasn't played the last couple of years.
In the offensive huddle, it's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
They just threw a flag. 12 men in the huddle. So that'll cost Oakland 5.
Now to follow up on that, Rick Meyer not having played the last couple of years, and that's because of the durability of Rich Gannon. But how nice is it when you've got a guy with his credentials being the 3rd quarterback? I know the Raiders feel very comfortable, very confident in Rick Meyer, and that's a good situation for them. There's a lot of teams in this league that can't find one quarterback. The Raiders feel they have 3.
Raiders trying to make those penalties disappear this preseason, something they've been bothered with. 11 in this, their second effort.
That's the kind of thing get you cut if you do that too often.
2nd down and 15. Handoff is to Fargas. What a burst, and he's down inside the 25, and a penalty flag in late. A run of 10 yards. Scott Frost made the tackle. And it's against Oakland.
Well, that's about the 2nd or 3rd big run.
Walking the back above the waist. Number 14, offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still 2nd down.
Willie Quinney.
That's about the 2nd or 3rd big run that Fargas has had that's been called back, and go back and look at the stats at the end of this game, and his numbers aren't going to be anywhere near what they could have been.
Quinney basically could have gotten an assist on the tackle. Pushing Frost into Fargas. It was Frost who made the stop. Final seconds of this 3rd quarter in a 7-7 game. Meyer. A sack. Cornelius Anthony will get credit for it, but he had plenty of friends back there to help him.
Well, typically that's what happens in these preseason games. You get the young offensive lineman out there, and it just becomes a jailbreak on the quarterback. And Meyer wore his rib protector.
4th quarter coming up after this from your local Fox station. Sun is about to set here in the West. 7-7 game as we begin the 4th quarter. Third and forever for the Raiders, and the pass is dropped. That was Willie Quinn. Even had it been caught, he was well shy of first down yardage, and Leckler will come on for another punt.
Tough series for Willie Quinney.
I'll say.
You know, he gets the penalty, push in the back, eliminates a big run, and then he takes one off the headgear right there. Not that he would have gotten the first down, but it would have been a nice reception if he could have caught it.
And it probably took 3 points off the board. I mean, that was one, you make that catch and you have a legitimate field goal shot.
Lost start. Dropping the ball down inside the 20, and that takes a nice hop for Leckler. That's Bruce on the return of only 2 yards, and we go down to Pam Oliver standing by with Jerry
Okay,
Rice.
thanks, Joe. Here with Jerry Rice. Tell me how it feels to come back to Candlestick. You got a great reception here.
Well, yeah, you know, I got a lot of love, and it's always good to come back to 3Com Park. You know, I didn't jump up in this place. You know, I wanted to continue to play football, so the Raiders gave me the opportunity, and I'm happy to be across the bay, you know, in the silver and black, and you know, I expect some great things this year, but we have a lot of work to do.
It had to be really tough because every Super Bowl appearance you've been in the other uniform, you were successful. So how difficult was it to be on the losing end of it this time?
Well, I think I have gone full circle now because I have won Super Bowls, and I know exactly what it feels like to lose one. But, you know, whenever you start that drive, you know, you put yourself in jeopardy of winning or losing. And we had a great time last year, and we came so close, and you know, I hope to have that opportunity again this year, and but it's something you have to work at. You know, it's something you really had to work very hard, and it doesn't come easy, and you got to pay the price.
A lot of your teammates stayed intact, so maybe we'll see you back there again. Thank you, Jerry.
Got my fingers crossed.
Let's go up to Joe.
Dolman is back in at quarterback, and that is Robertson, who fights his way up across the 34-yard line. A gain of 5. Jerry Rice signing for $650,000 in base salary in 2001 to make the jump across the bay.
I wish he would have experienced losing one of those Super Bowls a little earlier in his career. He beat us twice, and I tell you, the game down in Miami, we had him down, and they had to go 90 yards. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, I'll never forget the play he made. It was 2nd and 20, and triple coverage on the guy, and he catches the ball over the middle for about 50 yards, and that was that.
MVP of Super Bowl 23 as Dolman fires and is right off the hands of Aaron Walker.
How many more things can you say about that?
Bill Callahan saying nobody even asks anymore if Tim Brown and Jerry Rice can still play. It's just assumed they can, as Jamal Robertson gets back to the line of scrimmage. And that'll bring up 4th down and a punt from LaFleur.
You know, it's a good point, because last year going into the season, everybody was talking about the age of Rich Gannon, the age of Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and Rod Woodson and Bill Romanowski and all that. And really, it's been very quiet this training camp. There has been no talk about the age of these players, primarily because of the success that they had last year as a team, but probably more importantly, the success of each of these individuals. They all played at a high level.
Charles Pauley waiting deep, and probably the best of the night from LaFleur. And good coverage downfield. James Jordan downfield to make the stop after a 47-yard punt. People in St. Louis on many different levels, they believe this can be their most exciting team. They love their defense. But the question's still about Warner in that hand, in my mind. Having to prove that he is healthy when he's getting knocked around, as Rick Myers trying to avoid getting knocked around, and another penalty flag comes down in the secondary after a gain of 5.
You know, you talk about Kurt Warner in the Rams, and you're right, Joe. The tremendous optimism surrounding that football team and players that they brought in. Chris mentioned Kyle Turley earlier, and then getting some of these players healthy again. And you know, I too think that they're going to be a good football team. I think they're going to be much improved from where they were a year ago. I think they have the chance to get back to where they were a couple seasons ago.
Defense, 5 yards from the end of the run. It's an automatic 1st down.
I wonder, though, who's going to be the quarterback. And it's hard to imagine even saying that last season that anybody would be questioning who the starting quarterback would be. But I think if you look at what's happened with Kurt and his hand, how is that going to hold up, as you related to? And then the play of Mark Bulger. So I think they're going to be an awfully good team, but I'm just not so sure that there's going to be stability at that quarterback spot.
And you know, the first time Kurt Warner throws an interception or has a bad game, the talk shows are going to be humming after that.
On first down, it's Fargas with a burst. And he has another first down, a gain of 11. How about Fargas in the third quarter? 12 carries, 80 yards, a touchdown, and he adds 11 more to his total here.
Fargas is my MVP for the year already.
A bust at Canton can't be far behind.
No, it can't be. Yeah. Bypass the 5-year waiting period, just get him in.
Fargas somehow only a 2-yard gain over the left side.
Don't you know that Fargas's family is going to tell him how much publicity he got in this game, and he's going to get home and turn on the VCR and go to sleep watching this tape tonight?
Well, you might as well sing him to sleep right now. You can get to this point and maybe nod off.
Well, it's just easier to keep repeating his name. Otherwise, you got to go look at the board and find another one.
Good night, Justin. Sleep well. Fargas over the right side. And, hey, there's a penalty flag. Gain of 6.
The official trying to throw his flag. It fell out of his pocket, and he grabbed the beanbag by mistake and threw that one.
Well, I think you need to look at the tuck rule to see if his hand was going forward when the flag slipped out.
And you know what's interesting to note, though, on a serious note, they've changed how they're evaluating these officials this year. And in the past, they would take the best officials and then formulate a crew.
Number 71, offense, 10 yards, forced from the spot of the foul. Still second down.
They would take the best officials during the season, how they graded out, formulate crews, and then send them off and have them do the playoff games. But I think due to the fact that these guys, they need to work together in order to be cohesive, now they've changed it to where they're evaluating the entire crew. So these crews that work together all season long, they will then go in together and do the playoff games.
Chris, can you think of any one play in particular that forced that change? That's Hetherington coming back to get it incomplete. And another penalty flag down in the backfield in the spot where Meyer came down, and they're going to call roughing the passer on San Francisco.
Yeah, I can, but this game's so compelling. I think we just focus in on this.
You don't want to go back. You don't want to go back.
I don't. I like to live in the future. That's right. I like to look ahead like Rick Meyer did.
Roughing the passer, number 54, defense, 15 yards, an automatic first down.
You know what? You guys talk about officials. I'm going to talk about Fargas some more. You look at him here at tailback, and not only can he run, but I mean, he actually makes a pretty good block there. You'd like to butt the guy up a little bit higher so he doesn't force Meyer out of the pocket, but the only thing he hasn't done is what they wanted to see from the guy as to whether or not he can catch the ball.
It'll hail to the Chief, our new Chief, our MVP of tonight's game here on August the 14th. He's no longer Antonio Fargas's kid only. Working on a 100-yard day. Hey, penalty flags and whistle. Fargas got the edge, but the play never happened.
Fargas is going to have to get in a hot tub when this thing's over.
Equipment manager is going to have to work over that helmet.
Before the ball was snapped, false start. Number 78, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
100 yards on the day and the only Raider touchdown. And he's in the backfield behind Hetherington on 1st and 15. Back near the original line of scrimmage, a gain of 5.
Well, I tell you what, Chris Hetherington, the fullback, just made a case for his being the fullback as a backup instead of Cecil Martin. Watch this block coming up right there. That's not bad.
Wow. Yeah, pancake, and that's what they've been wanting to see from either him or Cecil Martin, who could emerge as the lead blocker. Awfully good there.
Second down and 10. Blitz is picked up by the Raiders, and Fargas falls forward very near the 43, a gain of 7.
You know, Troy, one thing we haven't talked a whole lot about is this offensive line, and when you go back and you watch the Super Bowl, to me that was clearly the difference in the ball game. They just simply could not handle Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp and the guys up front for the Bucks. And there are some good young players up there available, Langston Walker being one of them. And I think they're sort of debating in their own mind now, the Raiders are, as to whether or not it's time to move in some of these young players.
Even Stinchcomb they're excited about finally. Former #1 pick. Fargas adds to his stats, brought down at the 26, a gain of 17.
And you're right, Chris. The guys that they like, Matt Stinchcomb and then Langston Walker.
Watch Walker on this one, Troy. He's going to come out. This sort of mobility is what they don't have with their other linemen. The ability to get out front and make a block. It just adds a little element of speed. It's a new dimension for this team.
Well, and in talking with these coaches, when they talk about Langston Walker, they say he can be a real dominant offensive lineman in this league. He could be a Larry Allen type guy with Dallas, and they're just not sure whether or not to put him in this season or wait another year. I don't know how you keep a guy like that on the bench.
That's Ronnie Jenkins.
With some of the problems that they've had in their offensive line, and I shouldn't even phrase it that way because it's been a good, solid offensive line, but some of these players, let's face it, are getting a little bit older, and they would like to try to work these younger guys in. And to me, I just can't imagine, if you feel that strongly about a player like Langston Walker, how you can afford not to put him on the field.
Well, I think the feeling is you had the #1 offense in the league last year. Are you going to mess up something that actually worked because of one bad game? But it's not easy. I mean,
it's running left, runs into Wells.
I think that in this league, year to year, you have to constantly improve to stay anywhere close to the top.
Now it's Langston Walker who's down on all fours after that play. Walker, a former second-round pick out of California, getting attention in a tie game, fourth quarter. The current drive for the Raiders, it's 3rd down and 11. It's coming, and the pass is tipped and incomplete. Doug Gabriel got a hand on it, couldn't come down with it. 4th down.
I'll tell you what, this is a little bit of the flavor of Dennis Erickson. He wants them to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. Here it is, 3rd down and 10. Send an all-out blitz, and it works. He does not want this defense this year to sit back in these key situations. He wants to see them attack. They do exactly that, and it pays off.
Janikowski has 2 misses tonight. This is a 45-yard try. Bad snap, good hold. And the kick is good. Janikowski says finally, and this, he can pat Leckler on the back and say nice grab on a low snap. 1 out of 3 is Janikowski, and the Raiders are up 10-7. And we've seen, I think, some positive things out of some of the younger players on each side. I think Dolman's had a good game at quarterback. Dorsey has shown some things, and then what more can we say about Fargas?
Well,
please, let's don't.
Yeah. And sometimes you lose sight of that's why you have these games to evaluate these players.
This is Bruce. Great return by Bruce, just tripped up shy of the 30.
I think for the 49ers, maybe the best news they got tonight was the fact that Quaim Harris, their #1 draft pick, bounced back. He really.
Some other good news when the reports came back that Jeff Garcia does not appear, at least, that he'll be needing surgery to correct that back.
Salam is in the backfield behind Dorsey, and Rashaan Salam is brought down at the 36. A gain of 7.
Guy can go both ways as a fullback or a tailback, and Jamal Robertson's looked pretty good tonight too.
2nd down and 3. Salam over the right side. Back to the line of scrimmage. David Moretti, a local kid who had a good game a week ago against St. Louis, made the tackle. He had a sack, 5 tackles of pressure against the Rams from Pleasanton, California. He made a nice play. 3rd and 3. Oakland now up 10-7.
Right here, right here.
Dorsey with time, in and out of the arms of Jordan. Now penalty flag.
I think Jeff Garcia made that call.
1st down and 10. The 49ers can see what Dorsey will do. Down by 3, just heaves it, and the diving try, no catch. That was Arnaz Battle, draft pick out of Notre Dame. It was in his arms, it was there for him, but he couldn't come down with it.
Yeah, that's the 6th round for them this year, and had a nice preseason game last year, but here Dorsey shows that he does have the ability to anticipate and get the ball out in front. Arnaz Battle's got some good speed, but just his 49er offense starting to air it out a little bit.
7 drops tonight for the San Francisco 49ers. And Rashaan Salam is brought down a yard shy of a 1st down.
I'll tell you, I have a different opinion of Ken.
And some people put a little bit too much emphasis on it. If you've got a quarterback with great anticipation, you can afford then not to have necessarily the big arm.
The give is to the fullback. That's Matt Stanley. He's got a 49er 1st down.
You still don't think he put on 30 pounds, though, huh?
I don't see it, man.
Dennis Erickson told us he's up around 220, 225 as he fires high. Skaggs was the closest one to it for San Francisco.
I think probably the biggest thing about Ken Dorsey is that coaches have been thoroughly impressed with his ability to drop back and just turn the ball loose.
Won a national championship with Miami. This is Rashaan Salam. And a nice play by Moretti, who, more than just being a special teams player, Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator, believes he can be a linebacker in the NFL. Almost give that one away. On 3rd and 10, Dorsey fires, and the pass complete for a 1st down to Battle.
Hands for that drop, coming in and making a good catch over the middle of the ball.
And around, this is Battle. Has blocking in front of him, hit by his own lineman, and forced out of bounds by Shabazz.
Now that is the surest indication right there that this is a 49er Raider game, and even though it's preseason, it still means a little something. If you're going to
16-yard run, Domingo Graham, the guard for the 49ers, in the way of Battle. Play action from Dorsey into the end zone. He had Battle overthrown.
Boy, he'd like to have that one back. You can tell by the look on his face. He had Battle. He had Battle for a touchdown, but he tried just laying that one in there, and that's the one where you got to try to shoot the line drive. And boy, you don't get a lot of opportunity down here in the red zone.
High. Yeah, that's a dangerous thing in the NFL,
especially over the middle of the ball.
Pass is complete. That's the tight end, Aaron Walker. Under 3 minutes to play, and Walker is a yard shy of a 1st down.
Again, either.
Neither of those two. 12th play of the drive, 3rd down and 1. And they throw it. The pass caught. Touchdown 49ers, Matt Stanley. Point from Chandler to make it a 4-point lead with 2:19 to play. Ken Dorsey trying to prove himself to the San Francisco 49ers. Where's number 7? 7th round draft choice. Leads the 49ers down the field and into the end zone for the lead. Well, more than just the score, these organizations and these head coaches and offensive coordinators want to see these young quarterbacks lead a team down the field, and Dorsey has just done it. Tuiasosopo had the chances to do it for Oakland, didn't. We've seen some good things out of Dolman, and it's Stanley who gets into the end zone on the throw from Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, they want to see these quarterbacks compete. They want to see how they handle the 2-minute situations. They want to see how they handle the ball club when they're behind. They also want to see all these other players, these young players, they want to see how they handle those situations. The offensive linemen, how they battle when the game's on the line. And granted, these games don't mean anything in terms of your overall record, but they mean a lot for a lot of these players that are down here trying to earn jobs. And they're going to be very closely evaluated when these coaches go in tomorrow and watch these tapes.
Dennis Erickson wondering if his 49ers are going to start the preseason 2-0. First time as a head coach for San Francisco, a team he grew up watching in Seattle. On the sideline here at Candlestick Point.
And of course, he grew up before the Seattle Seahawks were in existence, so the 49ers were the team for the Seattle area.
Ronnie Jenkins is waiting deep. The kickoff is bobbled and eventually fallen on by Cecil Martin, the former Philadelphia Eagle, who was lucky to get on top of it and keep it for Oakland. Let's take a look at the AFC. If you don't know, Jake Plummer goes mile high. He's now with Denver. Brian Greasy and Junior Seau join the Dolphins. Is Priest Holmes in that hip? They all the way back. And will Marvin Harrison crack 150 catches at 143 last year? And can the Colts bounce back from playoff embarrassment with that loss to the Jets?
And the one I'm most interested in seeing is how Jake Plummer was able to do there in Denver.
Starting from their own 24, it's Meyer. Pass is caught by Doug Gabriel, who's been impressive tonight. And Meyer's going to let the clock wind down to the 2-minute warning. So now it's the veterans' turn. Rick Meyer, who's been around since '93, with his chance to lead the Raiders to a win. You have to seize an opportunity.
Yeah, he did.
Signing a Jerry Rice jersey. He'll be signing a Justin Fargas jersey tomorrow. Meyer throws and it's incomplete. Curry, the intended receiver. That'll bring up a 2nd down and 10.
Well, that Ronald Curry is a guy that was coming out of high school, maybe the most recruited athlete anywhere. Is a point guard for the North Carolina basketball team, was a college quarterback, and been converted from safety, from quarterback to safety, now to wide receiver, and they think he has a future.
Love is beautiful. Meyer steps up, in trouble, outside the pocket, he throws it away. You know, as we highlight a guy like Justin Fargas, son of Antonio Fargas, 70s TV star, you wonder if any other 70s TV stars have any kids that might also take over in the NFL, like Danny Bonaducci has a kid that's got a good arm, or John Ritter's got a kid that can run a fade route.
You can't ever tell.
Hey. Danny Bonaducci, he's a fighter, isn't he? Didn't he do all right in that celebrity?
That's right. Him and Barry Williams.
Ricardo Montalban, Gavin McLeod. Third down. Meyer buys time, fires, and the pass is complete. Just shy of midfield to Ronald Curry. Curry's played everywhere. Former defensive back, now trying to make it as a wide receiver.
I tell you, you could tell he was a former quarterback on that one, the way he came back to the football, realizing the quarterback was in trouble. He knew if he just threw out a life vest for him that he'd take it. It's a big play, gave him a chance here on 4th and short.
Minute 30.
Little bootleg action here. You don't care. Why did I ask you?
Well, it looks like they're going to throw it.
Quick set up and throw, and the pass is caught, now dropped, and they are going to say that it is a reception. Doug Gabriel, and that gets into that territory where it's one continuous act, and you have to be able to make another football act.
But I think he was all the way on the ground, and then the ball was knocked out of his hands.
Yep.
Pretty close, though.
I'm not so sure. I think that's a continuous. It doesn't matter now. The ball's been snapped. But boy, that was close to being a continuous act. And if that were the case, the ball's got to be kept in possession, even going to the ground.
I guess if you're down and then the ball, once your knee touches, I would think, as you're going to the ground, you can't knock it out of the hands afterwards.
Well, there's 2 steps and down. To me, I would rule that as an incompletion just because he did not make another football act once he made the possession of the ball.
I would agree, but the Raiders got up to the line and ran another play. No chance for a booth review.
Smart on their part.
2nd down and 6. Pass is behind the receiver, but caught for a 1st down. That is Justin Fargas. Plenty of time remaining for the Raiders. They still have 1 timeout left. Wide open to the near side of the field is Willie Quinning. About a yard shy of a 1st down.
They have to hustle. Just 1 timeout remaining. Officials are over here playing pitch and catch.
Well, they stopped the clock. Now they wind it. Meyer fires high. Curry was open for a moment. That'll bring up 3rd down.
Well, good job of Rick Meyer right there, not having anything, and instead of trying to run around and risk a sack, just throwing it away and stopping the clock.
Dennis Erickson, he wants this win.
30 seconds remain. 3rd down and 2. Raiders have to get into the end zone. Good protection, incomplete. No penalty flags on the play as Doug Gabriel couldn't come down with it. 4th and 2. Hansen on the coverage.
Well, Gabriel's one of those guys. He's not a real speedy guy. He's big, strong, and physical, and they say he has great hands. Need to make those plays to make the team.
Myers 6 out of 10 for 67 yards on this drive. 4th and 2. Meyer lost the snap, and the 49ers will take over. Raiders will fall to 1-1 this preseason, and the 49ers about to go to 2-0.
Once again, though, in the key situations, we're seeing the 49ers blitz. They decide they're going to come bring the pressure.
Yeah, the last 2 plays they did that on the 3rd down call. And then again on the 4th down play. Brought pressure, and as you mentioned earlier, Chris, that's going to be a staple of this defense throughout the season.
Dolman takes a knee. Timeout remains, but Oakland may just let it wind on down. They will, and this game ends 14-10 in favor of the San Francisco 49ers. Ken Dorsey leading the 49ers down the field and the end zone with that touchdown throw to Matt Stanley to put the 49ers on top for good. This is Joe Buck for Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth, and Pam Oliver. So long from San Francisco. Final score 14-10. 49ers up next. The postgame show with JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy right after these words. For more information on tonight's game and the latest around the NFL, log on to foxsports.com. So long.